Welcome to Silent and Tailies. I hope you enjoy this story. Now, let's begin.
My sister and I gave birth on the same day, but the hospital made a terrible mistake. They switched our babies. When the children turned 5, they were finally returned to the right mothers. After that, my sister's family became rich after winning the lottery. I gave all my love and effort to raise my real daughter. But when she grew up, she turned her back on me. One day, she drove her car straight into me. As I lay on the road, she glared down at me with hatred and said, "This is all your fault. If you hadn't switched me back that day, I would have been Aunt's daughter. I would have lived a rich life. I wouldn't have had to struggle so hard." When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer lying on that road. I had gone back in time, back to that fateful day, the day my daughter was returned to me. "Mom, I want to stay with you. I don't want to go back." Yenny Lou clung to my younger sister, Helen Lou, pretending to act sweet and spoiled. Helen looked at me and hesitated. She said softly, "Sis, after all, I've raised Yenny for 5 years. She's like my own daughter now. Maybe we shouldn't switch them back. Maybe we should just let it stay this way?" I frowned, staring at Yenny Lou holding tightly onto my sister. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't the only one who had been reborn. My daughter had been reborn too. I bent down and stroked my daughter's hair, smiling. "Sarah Lou, do you want to keep being my daughter?" Sarah looked at me, then at Helen. Then she grabbed my hand tightly and nodded hard. I finally looked up at my sister. "Fine. Let it be as you said. If it was a mistake, let it continue. From now on, Sarah will be my real daughter." I coldly glanced at Yenny. She looked very happy. In my heart, I felt nothing but contempt. Ungrateful little brat. I had raised her all these years, and she never appreciated it. Well, I don't need her anymore. My sister Helen and I lived in the same building. That day, while waiting for the elevator, I saw her and her daughter. Helen smiled at us and asked, "Did you two just come back from extra classes?" "Yes, Sarah just finished her dance class," I replied with a smile. Helen nodded. She said they had gone to the amusement park today. While we were talking, Helen suddenly sighed. "Sis, I really didn't expect you to care for Sarah so much. She hasn't even started elementary school, and you've already spent so much money on extra classes." I said nothing, my gaze quietly lingering on Yenny. When she met my gaze, her smile froze. A flash of hatred appeared in the depths of her eyes. I looked at Helen and said calmly, "After all, Sarah is my real daughter. I have to give her the best I can. Spending a little money now might bring great rewards in the future." Helen looked a bit embarrassed. "Your husband really knows how to earn money." "But my husband, Eric, he just gambles every day. There's nothing I can do. Otherwise, I'd also send Yenny to extra classes." Yenny's face darkened. She suddenly cried out, cutting her mother off, "I don't want to. I don't want to study. If I study, I won't get to play anymore." All right, no studying then. Be good." Helen quickly comforted her and led Yenny out of the elevator. My face turned cold. In my past life, after bringing Yenny back, I gave her everything. I poured my heart into raising her, but she never cherished it. All the time, effort, and money I spent on her, in the end, it was worth less than a lottery ticket worth 5 million yuan. Sarah was completely different. Back in middle school, her family couldn't afford her tutoring fees. I couldn't stand to see such a bright child wasted, so I paid for it myself. Sarah studied so hard. But in the end, because of Erikia's gambling, she didn't want to burden our parents. So Sarah dropped out after junior high and started working early. 2 years later, it was time for Sarah and Yenny to enter elementary school. Both of our families gathered to discuss. Just like in my past life, I decided to send Sarah to the experimental elementary school, the one with the best teachers in the area. Seeing that, Helen gritted her teeth and thought about sending Yenny there too. But the moment Yenny heard that, her expression instantly changed. She quickly shouted, "Mom, I don't want to go there." Helen and her husband were stunned. Then Yenny hesitated and said softly, "Mom, the experimental school costs too much. You and Dad work so hard to make money." Normally, Yenny did pretty well in school. And my younger sister wasn't the kind of mother who pushed her child to study. So after Yenny begged again and again, her parents gave up on sending her to the experimental school. Yenny was overjoyed. She thought life would be easy now, she could just play around and one day enjoy being the daughter of a rich family. I lowered my head, gently patting Sarah on the head. "You have to study hard, okay?" Sarah immediately nestled into my arms and nodded sweetly. "I understand, Mom." At the end of the semester, both families went back to our hometown for the new year. In just 2 days, Helen had already told everyone that Yenny was first in her class. She bragged, "Talent is what really matters. My daughter doesn't need the experimental school. She's excellent either way. One day, she'll surely get into a top university." In the village, relatives and elders all praised Yenny, calling her smart and gifted. Very quickly, Sarah's achievements seemed worthless in their eyes. I just gave a cold smile. Yenny had been reborn, carrying memories from her past life. Being first in grade 1, wasn't that only natural? If she couldn't even manage that, then what difference was there between her and trash? But when I saw Sarah staying inside, not playing with the other kids, quietly memorizing poems, my heart ached. I didn't want something so small to wound a child's pride. So I gently told her, "Sarah, it's okay if you didn't get first place this time. There will be many chances ahead, and third place is already great. In my heart, you'll always be the best." Sarah nodded, her eyes shining. "I understand, Mom. I'll keep working hard. I won't fall behind." Seeing Sarah smile so brightly, I felt as if a heavy stone in my chest had finally been lifted. 2 years later, when Sarah was about to start learning English, I began looking for extra classes for her. Seeing me make such a fuss, Helen looked at me with contempt. "Sister, she's only in elementary school. Do you really need to do all this? The school already has classes. In my opinion, talent is what really matters. Without it, no matter how much you study, it's useless, it's just a waste of money." She paused for a moment, then continued, "Look at my Yenny. She studies at a regular school, never takes extra classes, and still stands out. All the teachers praise her. I don't see any point in signing up for extra lessons at all." For the past 2 years, thanks to her memories from her past life, Yenny never did homework and barely paid attention in class, yet she always ranked first in every test. After Helen spread the news everywhere, Yenny was praised in the neighborhood as a prodigy, becoming the model child in the eyes of other parents. Because of this, Helen thought she was always right and looked down on me for pushing Sarah to study. She believed in her learning should be fun, don't interfere too much philosophy. I just smiled and replied, "Studying English well will be useful later on, and it won't hurt Sarah at all." Seeing Helen pressed her lips, thinking she was right, I couldn't help smiling to myself. Yenny might still do well in elementary school thanks to her past life memories, but when she reaches middle and high school, I wanted to see if she could still excel. Before leaving, Helen suddenly stopped and looked at me, a little tense. "Yenny is already a prodigy now. You won't regret this, right? You won't change your mind and want her back?" I smiled. "Helen, don't worry. My own daughter is Sarah. Yenny has nothing to do with me anymore. Her real mother is only you." That's good, that's good." Helen sighed with relief, looking satisfied as she walked away. When it was time for the entrance exam, Yenny earned a spot at experimental middle school thanks to her excellent grades, and ended up in the same class as Sarah. In middle school, there were more subjects. Sarah kept studying hard every night and never gave me any reason to worry. I couldn't help feeling proud of her. Time flew by, and before I knew it, the first midterm exams arrived. Shortly after, the school held a parent-teacher meeting. By chance, the two cousins were in the same class and even sat next to each other. When the grade sheets were handed out, they were placed right next to each other. Helen immediately reached over to my table. "This must be Yenny's, right? She's so smart, first place has to be hers." The grade sheets only showed ID numbers and rankings, no names. Seeing the top sheet marked first place, Helen didn't check carefully and grabbed it. The meeting hadn't even started, but Helen was already bragging loudly, "Wow, my daughter is truly a genius. All her subjects are over 90, and she even has 2 perfect scores." The other parents around immediately crowded over when they heard, all full of admiration. "Wow, what's your daughter's name? She's amazing. How do you teach her? Has she always been this good at school?" Some even complained, "Oh, my child is nothing like that. So bad at school, I worry all the time." Helen was very proud, smiling from ear to ear. "Oh, my daughter's name is Yenny Liu. From a young age, she's never made me worry. Her grades are always excellent. She doesn't even do homework at home, and in class, the teachers let her rest if she wants." Everyone was stunned and amazed when they heard this. Then they started praising her nonstop. I glanced at the grade sheet showing 20th place that she had thrown aside, feeling a flash of contempt. I picked it up and held it in front of Helen. "This is Yenny's grade sheet. The one you're holding is my daughter's." Helen froze, still holding the first place sheet, her voice trembling. "No, how could Yenny possibly be this low? This grade sheet, this must be Yenny's." I said calmly, "Sarah's ID number is 9. Check again, the sheet you have is definitely my daughter's." Since middle school began, Helen had never paid attention to Yenny's studies, so she naturally didn't know her daughter's ID number. She looked down at the sheet, and the moment she saw the number 9, her face immediately fell. A stylishly dressed woman nearby covered her mouth, laughing. "Yenny's mom, are you wrong? You don't even know your daughter's ID number. Being a mom must be so easy for you." Helen's face flushed as she argued, "No. I clearly remember Yenny's ID number is 9. Such a lucky number, I couldn't possibly be wrong." Just then, homeroom teacher Ms. Huang returned after finishing a phone call. Helen immediately rushed over, her voice full of anger. "Ms. Huang, please check for me. Is this Yenny's grade sheet?" Ms. Huang paused for a moment, then spoke gently. "Yenny's mom, please go back to your seat for now. The scores are confidential. I'll show you later. Let's just start the parent-teacher meeting first, okay?" Helen refused to hold back. She stomped her foot and shouted, "No. Check it right now, it only takes a few seconds. Yenny's grades are always good, there's nothing to hide." She didn't care about Ms. Huang's darkening expression and continued loudly, "From first grade until now, she's always been number 1, never once below that. How could she suddenly fall to 20th place? This has to be cleared up right now." Then she glared at the parents who had mocked her earlier, clearly waiting for a chance to slap their words back at them. At last, Ms. Huang picked up the student list and said firmly, "Yenny's mother, ID number 9 belongs to Sarah Liu. Your daughter, Yenny Liu, is number 23. The room filled with whispers, and then someone couldn't hold back a laugh. Helen screamed, "No. That's impossible. Yenny has to be number 1, she's a prodigy." She snatched the list from Ms. Huang and stared at it closely. Her face turned pale in an instant. Without another word, she rushed out, not even staying for the meeting. After she left, the other parents turned to congratulate me. After the meeting ended, Ms. Huang asked me to stay. She wanted to talk with me privately about Sarah's studies. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I heard crying and angry shouting echoing down from upstairs. "What's wrong with you? How could you fall to 20th place? You were always in the top 3 before. Tonight, no phone. Do your homework properly. By the final exam, you must get back into the top 5. I shook my head and went inside my own home. The moment I walked in, Sarah ran straight into my arms. "Mom, you're back," she said happily. I hugged her and smiled. "Yes, Sarah. You did great, you ranked first in the class. I even bought roast duck. Let's eat together." After dinner, Sarah hesitated for a while before asking softly, "Mom, Auntie kept hitting Yenny just now. If one day I don't do well in school, will you hit me too?" I smiled and stroked her head. "Silly girl, you're mommy's most precious treasure. How could I ever hit you? Even if you don't do well once, there's always next time, and the time after that." From that day on, Helen rarely joined the neighbors' conversations. Whenever someone asked about Yenny's grades, she would quickly change the subject. Some neighbors wanted Yenny to tutor their kids, but Helen refused them all. And the relationship between our two families, after that meeting, it slowly faded away. Another semester passed quickly. After the final exams, I went to another parent-teacher meeting. This time, after changing the seating arrangement, I no longer sat next to Helen. When the grade sheets were handed out, Yicheng Wang's mother, the same stylishly dressed woman from before, smiled and asked loudly, "Yenny's mom, what rank is your daughter this time?" "First place again, right? After all, your child is a genius, a prodigy." The parents around us burst into laughter. Helen's face went pale. She shot the woman a quick glare, then lowered her head to the grade sheet in her hand. Her whole body shook. In a trembling voice, she said, "Ms. Huang, my family has some matters to take care of. I need to leave early." "I'm sorry." Helen didn't wait for Ms. Huang. She covered her face and rushed out. The moment she left, the other parents turned to me. "Sarah's mom, your daughter must be first again, right? So impressive, your child is not only smart but also well behaved." I just smiled and said nothing. When I got home, I still heard shouting and crying upstairs, mixed with the sound of breaking dishes. Sarah ran to me, scared, refusing to let go and want to sleep by my side. After getting her to sleep, I quietly went upstairs to see what was happening. After I knocked, the noise in their house slowly quieted down. Helen opened the door and looked at me coldly. "What are you doing here?" I spoke gently, "Helen, it's late. You should go to bed." Through the slightly open door, I saw Yenny kneeling on the floor, her hair messy and face marked with red streaks from being slapped. My heart sank. Don't put too much pressure on her. Middle school is harder, and it's normal if she can't keep up. Yelling and hitting won't help at all. In my past life, no matter how naughty Yenny was, I only ever made her stand in the corner or skip a meal. I never hit her. I couldn't believe Helen would be so cruel. Just as I was about to turn away, Helen's voice rang out, full of sarcasm. "So, you came here just to watch me make a fool of myself, right? Sarah got first, and Yenny did badly. Now you can brag and feel satisfied, can't you?" I froze for a moment, then spoke softly. "Sis, I never thought about bragging. I just wanted to give you some advice. Calm down. Stop making a scene, everyone needs to rest." After that night, Helen stopped greeting me when we met. In our neighborhood, many children went to the same school, so her scene at the parent-teacher meeting quickly spread everywhere. Yenny went from being a praised prodigy to someone everyone sighed at and avoided. The neighbors who once praised her now strictly kept their children from playing with Yenny. I often heard Helen scolding and hitting her. This seriously affected my family's daily life. Soon, my husband and I decided to return the house and move to another building. Since then, I rarely see Helen and Yenny. One day, I happened to see them on a small street in our neighborhood. Helen was scolding Yenny right on the sidewalk. "Yenny, I told you to study hard, but you never listen. You used to be so good in school, now you skip classes and even date too early." Yenny covered her face in shame, biting her lower lip as tears filled her eyes. She choked out, "I don't need you telling me what to do. You don't understand me at all." As she turned her head, she suddenly saw me. Her eyes met mine for a moment, filled with hurt and resentment. Then she quickly lowered her head and ran away. Helen saw me too. She looked embarrassed, but then turned away without a word. Early love. Yenny was only in 6th grade, yet she had already started dating. In this life, I never imagined her sense of right and wrong would collapse so fast. I let out a sigh and kept walking home. Whatever happens to Yenny now, it's no longer my concern. The only daughter I need to care for and protect is Sarah Lou. That night, in the parents' group chat, Yicheng Wang's mother openly blamed Helen. Please control your daughter and take her home. If she doesn't want to study, that's her problem. But my son still needs to focus on school. Right after, she sent a photo. In front of the villa, Yenny leaned against the wall, her eyes fixed inside, as if waiting for someone. When Helen didn't respond, Yicheng's mother sent a video from a security camera. In it, Yenny's voice shook as she pleaded, "Yicheng, can you come out? I just fought with my mom. I have nowhere to go. Right now, I only have you." The group chat instantly exploded. Usually, things like early dating would be discussed privately between teachers and parents. But this time it was made public, turning into a joke for everyone. In the end, the homeroom teacher, Ms. Huang, stepped in to calm things down, and the argument finally settled. Close to midnight, I went downstairs to take out the trash. That's when I saw Helen dragging Yenny into the hallway, scolding her with a voice full of rage. How could I end up with such a shameless daughter? You're still so young, and yet you did this. Do you know how much you've embarrassed me? After that, Miss Huang had no choice but to let Yenny stop school for a while. When she returned, it was the final exam. And this time, she fell straight to the bottom of the class. Helen was so disappointed that she stopped caring about her. Yenny gave up on herself completely, skipping school and clinging to Yicheng Wang every day. One day, when I took Sarah to school, I happened to see Yenny with Yicheng's mother. Yenny stood beside her, speaking and acting with extreme respect, but Yicheng's mother didn't care at all. I couldn't help but laugh to myself. Yenny, just to marry into a rich family, you're really trying hard. After sending Sarah into her classroom, I went to a milk tea shop nearby. Not long after, Yicheng Wang's mother came in. She sat next to me and complained, "Sarah's mom, I really admire you. Your daughter is obedient and good at her studies. Unlike that Yenny girl. She really has no shame." Tell me, how can two cousins be so different? I just smiled and stayed quiet. Later, because Sarah's period was irregular, I took her to the hospital for a checkup. And there, I unexpectedly ran into Yenny. Sarah smiled and called out, "Yenny, you're here too? Did you come alone?" Even though my relationship with Helen wasn't the same anymore, the two children were still close. When Yenny saw me, her face froze for a moment. I stayed silent until the nurse finally called her name. After all, everything that happened to Yenny was the result of her own choices. She was only reaping what she had sown. After the high school entrance exam, Sarah was accepted into one of the top schools. But Yenny failed. Her family sent her to a salon to train as an apprentice. In my past life, Eric Yu was addicted to gambling and lost more than he won. Sarah had to drop out in the middle of 11th grade, even though she was excellent at studying. But this time, she became the top scorer in the entire province. When the results came out, I saw Helen standing outside the crowd. Her eyes were red as she watched Sarah surrounded by reporters and teachers. There was even a hint of admiration in her gaze. After so many years, this was the first time Helen came to speak with me again. Because of Yenny, she looked even more worn out than before. With a trembling voice, Helen said, "If only we had switched them back then." Before she could finish, I cut her off. That year, the children made their own choices. And you agreed too, didn't you? Her hands clenched tight, her eyes full of regret. Just then, Sarah spoke, her voice bright and sincere. "I became the top scorer thanks to my teachers. But the person I'm most thankful for, my own mom. You've supported me all these years. Without your love and guidance, I don't think I could have kept going. The reporter's cameras immediately turned to me. Helen, standing beside me, was quickly pushed aside by the crowd. In Sarah's second year at university, Eric Yu won the lottery, 5 million yuan, just like in my past life. The whole family was surrounded by neighbors, all praising them with admiration. Helen pushed through the crowd and smiled at me. Sis, with this money, my family can finally live comfortably. It doesn't matter if the kids turn out well or not. At least we don't have to worry about food or clothes. She even sneered, college graduates these days can hardly find jobs. 5 million yuan, you can't earn that in a lifetime. I just smiled. Seeing the bright smile on Yenny's face, I thought quietly, child, is this really what you wanted? I sighed, said congratulations, and turned away. Behind me, I could still hear Helen's voice dripping with contempt. Humph, she's probably just jealous, still acting tough. I didn't even look back. I calculated silently, the lottery prize was 5 million yuan. After taxes, it was 4 million. But because of Eric's gambling debts, only about 3 million remained. For an ordinary family, that amount could buy a spacious apartment in the city. If they managed it wisely and opened a small shop, they could live comfortably. But sadly, Eric never knew when to stop. He thought that winning 5 million meant he could win an even bigger prize. Helen couldn't control Eric's reckless spending. From gambling to buying lottery tickets, the winnings quickly disappeared. In my past life, Yenny only knew that Eric had won the lottery. But because she didn't study in the province, she had no idea that in just 2 years, he had spent it all. When Yenny graduated and came back, she thought their family had moved away and was living a wealthy life. But the truth was, he was running from creditors, and Helen and Sarah had gone back to the countryside. I hesitated for a long time, but in the end, I texted Sarah about Eric's family winning the lottery. I just wanted to know if she ever regretted choosing to go with me that year. When I heard her voice message, I couldn't hold back my tears. That's when I realized I had been overthinking. Mom, why are you telling me this? What does it matter to us if my aunt's family won the lottery? Don't worry. After I graduate, I'll work hard and study even more. I'll take care of you, Mom, and earn more than that lottery money ever could. Just like before, everything repeated. Eric often went to the lottery shop near the neighborhood gate. During the World Cup, he even spent 200,000 yuan on bets. But in the end, he lost it all. Meanwhile, Yenny took Helen traveling everywhere with the prize money. They had no idea Eric was wasting money. With no one to stop him, he spent even faster than in my past life. In less than a year, all the money was gone. Helen and Yenny came home and asked Eric why the bank account was empty. When they learned he had wasted everything on gambling and lottery tickets, they started arguing. Eric, are you insane? Why would you gamble? How are we supposed to live now? I did it for this family. If I win again, we'll never have to worry about anything. And what about you two going on trips, didn't that cost money too? Suddenly, Yenny clutched her head and screamed, why? Why did it turn out like this? The neighbors were startled and stepped back. Yenny's eyes were red with tears. She looked up and saw me standing at the edge of the crowd. She bit her lip, wiped her tears, then turned and ran away. A month later, Yenny's family was forced to move to the outskirts of the city. That's when I heard from the neighbors. Yenny was pregnant. Carrying her unborn child, she went to the Wang family and demanded that Yi Cheng marry her. But Madame Wang couldn't be threatened so easily. She refused coldly, saying they would wait to see if the baby was a boy or a girl before deciding. But fate was cruel. When the time came, Yenny suddenly had a miscarriage. Without a moment's hesitation, Madame Wang threw her out and quickly introduced other young women to her son. Yenny's health got worse, and with her endless trouble, Yi Cheng soon lost all affection for her. I thought I would only hear Yenny's name from the neighbors. But one day, I saw her again. On a rainy spring morning, Yenny stood outside my house, holding an umbrella. "Mom." I stopped, looking at her tired face, and said softly, "Yenny, you should call me Aunt." Her voice trembled as she choked back tears. "Mom. I'm your real daughter. Don't you want me anymore?" I gave a cold smile. "You chose Helen. Now, my daughter is Sarah." She cried bitterly. But when I remembered her cruelty in my past life, my heart felt nothing. I simply said, "That's enough. I have to go to work now. You should leave." As I walked away, Yenny's voice came from behind. "Mom, you came back too, didn't you?" I stopped, turned coldly, and said, "Yenny Lou, from now on, never appear before me again. You will never be my daughter." Her body went weak. She collapsed to the ground, staring blankly, lost in her own thoughts. Maybe she realized her mistakes. Maybe she regretted it. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. From the moment I was reborn, the bond of mother and daughter between us had ended. After that day, I never saw Yenny again. A few years later, Sarah graduated from university. Thanks to her professor's recommendation, she joined an advanced program at the Central Academy of Dance and Arts. By her second year, she was already performing in a major show. When she wasn't training or performing, Sarah shared her dance videos online. With her excellent background and outstanding achievements since childhood, she quickly became popular, gaining a large following. Even famous stars came to visit her. A few years later, Sarah bought a big house and welcomed us to live with her. 2 years after that, I retired early and enjoyed a peaceful, happy life with my family. Every day, I planted flowers and danced in the square. When Sarah had days off, she took me traveling. We climbed mountains, went to the sea, and even visited the desert. The beautiful sights made me feel this life was not wasted. One time, while we were at the beach, I lay under an umbrella, eyes closed, feeling the sea breeze. Sarah thought I had fallen asleep. She sat down quietly beside me and whispered, words that shook me to my very core. Her hand gently touched my gray hair as she whispered, "Mom, I don't know why I'm still your daughter in this life, I'm truly happy." Back then, I used to envy Yenny. Even though she wasn't good at studying, you never scolded her. You were always patient, guiding her and helping her find the right path. I admired that so much. I wished I could be your real daughter. Mom. I love you. It was only then that I realized Sarah had also been reborn. But unlike me and Yenny, she had returned to the moment in high school, when she fainted from menstrual pain. Yet none of that mattered anymore. Because in this life, we had chosen each other. And in the end, we found the happiness we both longed for.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.